What's going on, DDO players? Axel here. In this video, I'm going to talk about Update 24. I've had a few weeks now to absorb the update, so I'm ready to talk about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and what I hope to see in the future. Also, I'll be giving a bit of a channel update at the end of the video. Let's start by talking about the new quests. This update, we got a new adventure pack called the Heart of Madness, which was Zoriat themed. It was a series of 3 quests in the 12. It was not a chain, it was just 3 individual quests. I thought overall the quests were fun, especially Palace of Stone and Terminal Delirium. Palace of Stone is hilarious. If you haven't run it, I highly recommend you run it at least once just to hear the voice acting. Also, Terminal Delirium was really fun. There's a lot of strange things that happen to you in that quest, a lot of strange encounters that we haven't seen. I won't ruin it for anyone who hasn't run it yet, but needless to say, if you haven't run it, I highly recommend you run it at least once. On the downside, I don't think this content filled a large need. It's filler content for the most part. I don't want to complain too much about it. New content is new content, but at the same time I ask myself, what need is this content filling? It's just more mid-epic content. I don't think that that was a glaring need in the game. I think the huge glaring need in the game right now is in-game, and I'd like to see content geared and designed towards level 30 rather than getting more mid-epic content. So it's not that these quests are bad, it's just it doesn't fill a need. I know that the developers want to eventually fill out the epic levels so you can go from level 20 to 28 without repeating quests, but I don't feel this is the time to be addressing that need. I think we need to fill the glaring holes first before we start working on conveniences like being able to level from 20 to 28 without repeating a quest. I want to see developers put more focus into raiding, especially. As I've talked about before, there's nearly 400 quests in DDO, yet only 3 of these are in-game raids. We need to focus on this glaring need first and not focus on mid-epic content, which is more of a convenience than a necessity. In the future, I really hope we see a multi-raid expansion. The level cap to 30 should be happening in 2015. I hope when that comes we have multiple raids to run at level 30. If they just give us level 30 but we have no quests or no raids, no reason to stay at level 30, then it's going to be a disappointment. I want something to do with my level 30 character, not just an arbitrary level increase. Let's move on to Monster Champions, and I won't talk a lot about this since I've already made 2 videos on it. My opinion is already out there. If you want to hear me talk a lot about Monster Champions, check out those 2 videos. Needless to say, I'm still disappointed. I remain to be disappointed with the nerf. I love the first 2 days that we had of Monster Champions before the nerf. I think it was 2 days. It might have been a little longer than that or a little shorter. I don't remember, but for a few days we had the champions as they were originally implemented, and I thought they brought a much needed challenge, but much new it really freshened the game up for me. Now with the nerf, I can't even notice them. It feels exactly the same to me difficulty wise as it did pre-update 24. While it's not my favorite idea, I think the only reasonable compromise here is to create a checkbox. I've said in my other videos that I didn't like this idea of making Monster Champions optional. I still don't like it. I think it defeats the purpose of Monster Champions, which was to make the game harder. Yet it might be the only way to make everybody happy. Not the optimal solution, but it may be the only one that will work for both veterans and new players. So while I don't like the idea, I would prefer that option over these nerfed monster champions staying in the game with no more changes. Let's move on to Barbarian changes. Barbarians were buffed with this update, yet in my opinion it's been a big failure. I put out quite a few Barbarian videos, me talking about Barbarian changes, what I'd like to see, and I don't agree with the direction they took. The developers still have only given Barbarians DPS that is approximately equal to Bards and Paladins, yet because Barbarians lack so much survivability, there's still no reason to play a Barbarian, and they're still lagging far behind classes like Paladin and Bard in terms of melee. As I've said before in my videos, they need to either make Rage worth it to Barbarians by giving them a big DPS boost, or they need to give Barbarians self-healing that's equivalent to Bards and Paladins. I would much prefer option number 1. I hate option number 2 as I think it goes completely against the flavor of the class. A developer named Severlin has created a new thread on the forums just this week asking about Barbarians and how players were doing with their new Barbarians. It seems to me that the developers have started to get the message that this new update in terms of Barbarian changes has not been too successful. The Bard and Paladin changes in previous updates were applauded, but this update I don't see a lot of people playing Barbarians. They definitely need more work. I hope that they're given more DPS, but we'll have to just tune in, wait, and see. Let's move on to duping. One of the great things about this update, and one of the best changes to be made, was the fixes to duping. While it's sad they had to end the anniversary card event, it's really good for the game that they did. There was just too many exploits going on. Also, if you didn't know, they made a change to timers in, I believe it's in the bank. You now have to wait a couple seconds before you can move items from your bank. And this timer is preventing people from basically just just massively clicking on items and hoping that a connection server error causes the item to be duplicated. The moving of items from the bank through bags, through inventory, was one of the biggest, if not, well, probably the major, if not the only source of duping in the game. Well, it's probably not the only source, but it's the major source of duping, the major way that people were duping in DDO, and the addition of the implementation of a timer for inventory seems to have nipped duping completely for now. I'm sure there's still ways to dupe, but from what I've read on other forums, DDO's main forums, duping has essentially been solved now, and that's a huge boost. Now I'm sure that there are other ways that computer geeks can figure out to dupe items in DDO, but the mainstream ways of duping seem to have been closed. Duping does not seem to be a mainstream problem anymore. That's a huge success for the game. It's going to slowly repair the damage that duping has done to the game, and I'm just ecstatic to see that change. Big kudos to the dev for that change. Let's talk about healing amp changes. This is one change that was a huge buff to almost every character that nobody is talking about. Healing amp was changed from a multiplicative system to an additive system. And it's been a huge buff for me. My cleric now, his aura is ticking for about 120, and on a crit it's somewhere in the 240 range. It's really amazing. It's made my character a lot better on Epic Elites. He can take a lot more Epic Elite punishment now than he could before. It's really awesome buff. Another awesome thing that I want to give the developers big props for in this update was the lack of bugs. There were no game-breaking bugs in this update. Yes, there are some bugs, most notably the barbarian abilities. From what I've read, the Many of the barbarian active abilities are bugged out and aren't working properly. That's definitely a problem, but it's not a huge game-breaking problem. It's not a major problem that's causing anyone or most players huge frustration while logging into DDO every day. One of the probably the other major bug is the tactics bug. I don't think it's been fixed yet. It's planning to be fixed in the next hot fix, I believe. But right now, the DC of all tactical abilities is being boosted. It is improperly adding your character level to your DC. So if you're tripping things that you shouldn't be tripping, now you know why. Again, an unintentional buff, it's not anything players are going to go and grab torches and pitchforks for. So I'm fine with this. It's something that they'll fix. It's not anything that's causing me to not play the game. No major features have been broken this update. Good job, developers. That's all I have to say about the update. I didn't cover everything, but I covered most of what I hadn't covered in other videos. So I'm going to move on now to my channel. A couple days ago, I finally finished my third and final video in my beginner's guide series. It was a video I've been dreading making for a while. I really enjoyed making the first two videos, but I kind of lost the motivation to make the third video. It felt a lot like a chore. It took me quite a while to do, and it took me a lot of takes. It was easily the most time-intensive video I've made. I ended up posting the video today on the DDO forums in the beginner section. I'm getting a lot of love from forum people there, so I really appreciate the kind words and the feedback. If you have a new player you know, if you have real-life friends or any other friends that are just getting started in DDO, I highly recommend you point them towards that video. When I was making the video, I tried to think of all the things I wish I would have known when I was first starting in the game. I tried to cover concepts and ideas and basic functions that the game just doesn't teach you. The game makes attempts in Korthos to explain concepts to new players, but it doesn't do a sufficient job, in my opinion. And there's so many basic features of this game, like creating hotbars, how to use the enhancement trees, what are taverns. You know, there's so many basic things that the game just doesn't explain to you sufficiently, and that's what I tried to cover. So again, if you know a new player, point them towards that video. I put a lot of effort into making it, so I hope a fair number of people can check it out. A beginner's guide is one of the things that I did want to make when I first started this channel. It was one of the ideas I had in mind. DDO needs new blood. It needs a constant stream of new players to survive, and anything I can do to bring new players into the game means that DDO has a better chance of existing into the future. DDO is getting to be an old game. It's about 8 years old, and someday it will end, but I hope that that day comes much later rather than sooner. One other thing I want to talk about, I've been talking, well, in a lot of my videos I've said that I'm going to create a video detailing my build. I'm still planning to do that. I keep on delaying it though. I've said in several videos that it's going to come out in a couple weeks, but I keep changing my mind about when I want to release it. My main character is almost to level 26 right now, and I decided that I want to get to level 28 first and play around with the build at its full potential before I release the build in a video and on the forums. I'm still playing out with still playing with a few enhancement combinations. I haven't completely decided on my final action point distribution. Also, the Exalted Smite Paladin ability is bugged right now, so I can't play with that. I don't know if the action points are going to be worth it for that. If you don't know what that is, it basically gives a bonus to melee power anytime you use a Paladin Smite ability. So I'm playing around with the enhancement still. I will release that video when I get to 28 and am able to play around with the build a little more. I don't think I'll wait for that bug to be fixed simply because I don't know when it will be fixed. The developers haven't talked about that bug and they haven't given us a date yet, so I won't be waiting on it. Could be waiting for quite a long time. It's not an essential ability to the build either. It's more fluff than anything. I can still get the main concept of the build out there. I've spent a lot of time the past few weeks or so trying to make the channel look better. I don't think I mentioned this in my other videos, but I created a new banner. I put a dragon on it and tried to make it a little flashy so the channel looks better. Before I just had a generic, I believe I just had a generic screenshot on my banner. Also just had a generic Google image of a clay golem as my icon. And I went ahead and took a screenshot of a clay golem in game, and that looked a lot better and made that my icon. And I tried to design the banner so it just looks a little better. I want the channel to be attractive. Also, I put that same banner in my signature on the DDO forum, so I'm hoping that that can inform a few more people about my channel. The channel seems to be growing slowly but surely. I don't really care how many people, I don't really care to have a certain number of subscribers or anything. I do this for fun, not like I'm getting paid for this. But as I've said in other videos, I do put a lot of effort into the channel, so I want people to watch it. Especially my guide videos, I just want people to know about them because I think they can help out a lot of players. For you guys that watch my videos, I really appreciate it, especially you guys that watch on a regular basis. It's a huge compliment that there's people interested in what I have to say, and the fact that people are nice enough and care enough about what I have to say to tune in regularly is it's just really flattering. So I really appreciate it, guys, and I'm looking forward to making more videos. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe and tell your DDO friends and guildies about my channel. Thanks for watching.